This is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor, here with my third video about boundaries, tips on how to set boundaries. If you're new to this, if we've convinced you to start setting boundaries in your life, with yourself and with your loved ones, because it's not just with other people. Sometimes we need to set boundaries with ourselves. Okay, so maybe I was saying that for me. I don't know, but okay, we're back. So here's some tips. One, how do you know when it's time to set a boundary? Paying attention, being mindful of your feelings and how someone or something is making you feel is very important, okay? Not to say that all feelings are the truth, right? But all feelings are real and all feelings are valid. And once you flush through your feelings to figure out which if it's true, if this is bothering you, if you have come to know this and it brings out emotion that you do not like. Anger tells us, hey, something's not right. Anger gets a bad rap, but anger helps us to know when we need to set a boundary or when we need to make an adjustment. And so anger is very, very helpful in that way. So listening to yourself, and if you feel a twinge, if you feel like somebody's done something that has disrespected you, has made you feel unworthy, or made you feel like they don't value your place in their life, it's time to have a conversation about it. I think and I think that that's probably the best language to use, like to have a conversation about it. I think sometimes the way we talk about boundaries, things are so like, it's either my way or no way. And that's kind of rigid, and we talked about that last week. But having a conversation about it helps you to get a better understanding where that person was coming up from, and also to help that person to understand where you are coming from, of course, and how what they're doing, their behavior affects you. Not all the time is the person's behavior like they're intending for you to feel that way. Like most people, I'm gonna say this, and I know y'all might get me, but most people don't wake up in the morning like, oh, I'm gonna annoy the mess out of somebody today. People don't do that, but it happens. It happens. And so when it does happen, it's time for us to have a conversation about it. And so that's kind of the first step. One, so paying attention to yourself, paying attention to your feelings, paying attention to what sparks something in you. Now, and then deciphering for yourself, is this a me thing or is this a we thing? If it's a me thing, that's something you work on within yourself, okay? Now, if it's a we thing, that's something that we need to have a conversation about. And so if it's a you thing, meaning like it's something that you may be taking personally that's not personal after you have that conversation, then that's something for you to work on for yourself, because of course we know majority of the time it's not personal. It's not. I promise. So once you find out it's a we thing, you have the conversation, you come to an understanding, we hope. You come to an understanding, then you continue to move forward. And there's some flexibility in their understanding, there's some compassion in that understanding, and there's some grace, hopefully, in that understanding that you have with yourself, or with that conversation you have with the person that has maybe offended you or rubbed you the wrong way unknowingly, okay? Now, sometimes, a lot of times, the example I would use is when people are requesting things of you or asking things of you, a lot of times people have a lot of difficulty saying no. It's a challenge. Because oftentimes people are scared. They don't want to make anyone upset. They don't want to disappoint that person. And they don't want to potentially cause like a rift in the relationship. They don't want to lose them. Especially if people have had very, very volatile relationships growing up, and they have been rejected, it's even harder for them to say no in their relationships, because they don't trust that the relationship will maintain after the no. So they say yes, but then your relationships because of that can be very strained, very volatile, because boundaries are being crossed. It could cause a lot of resentment. So saying no can be very hard. Saying no can be very hard. Okay. So here are some tips about the no. Okay. So if someone makes a request of you, and you already in your mind saying, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. What am I supposed to do? I don't want to say no. Can you give me some time to think about that? I just need time to think about it. Okay? And I'll get back to you. Okay? So that's letting that person know you're when you're communicating, I need some time to think about it. You're letting that person know, like, your request is important to me. You're validating that for them, okay? And I want to make sure I'm making the best decision for myself and you, for both of us. It's not just you, but for the both of us, okay? All right. And that'll give you some time to kind of decipher, really, if this is a no, or if this is a yes, or if there's some compromise that come in between there, okay? So give you some time, all right? So now you have your time. It's still a no. The second way to kind of deal with the request that you're already kind of like leery about is to use language that says no without saying no, okay? Because saying no can seem very harsh, and it can feel harsh to receive, okay? So language like, thank you so much for this consideration. Thank you so much for considering me for this opportunity. I took upon all of this information that you've given me, and I looked at my schedule, and I just don't see the possibility for this to work. Or, at this time, I'm not very comfortable with taking on more responsibilities, but thank you so much for considering me, and I hope you continue to consider me in the future. Okay? You said no without saying no. Isn't that wonderful? No. If it was always that easy, right? But that helps your delivery, because you don't feel like it's so harsh. And it also lets the person, when you lead with a thank you, it helps the person be more willing to receive what you're saying. Okay. Now, there might be some give and pull depending on the person you're dealing with. If they're not used to you setting boundaries, if this is like they're used to you always saying yes, and this is the first time you're saying that's not a possibility for me at this time, they're gonna maybe kind of give you a little tuck and pull, okay? Because they're like, this is Alicia. She always says yes. Like, what's going on? And so, what I do share with my clients and with others, that when you first start setting boundaries, that you're gonna get a little pushback in your relationships. There's gonna be a little disruption. People are gonna look at you like, what's wrong with her? Or what's wrong with him? I don't understand what's going on. They're not used to this. You have taught them that you always say yes. So the fact that you say no now, they feel like, did she take her walk this morning? Did she get her coffee? Like, what's going on? So there's going to be a little pushback, potentially. Hopefully, people will respect your no. Oftentimes, it's going to take them some time. And it truly might. I'm going to say this with lots of compassion. It truly may disrupt the harmony of the relationship. And at the same time, kind of what we talked about the first video, that it will give you knowledge about where that person is. in the relationship with you. Not that they aren't a good person. They're just limited in their capacity in that moment to accept the boundary. That's all. That's all. They're limited in their capacity to accept the boundary. It doesn't mean that you don't have worth. It doesn't mean that your relationship didn't mean anything to them. Or it just means that they're limited in their ability to accept that boundary from you at that time. And so it's from you, it's your decision to know what to do, how to navigate their limited capability or their limited capacity, okay, to accept that boundary. And use what we would call, like, use wisdom and discernment about that, about how to navigate that. We live in a very, very black and white culture right now. You see, it's like, you know, you make me mad, it's over. And it's like, whoa. We all make mistakes. We all have limited capacities at any given time, right? So if someone has a limited capacity to accept your boundary, it doesn't mean they're a horrible person or that they never loved you or meant you any good. It just means that they maybe need some time to adjust to this new relationship dynamic. They may have some things going on in their personal life. They may have some maturing to do. They may need some time. And then come back and you say, you know what? You told me that you had too much on your plate right now and that this wasn't going to work for you. And I really gave you the flux about that. And I apologize about that. I do. I should have been more understanding, and I, had a lot going on. I really needed you to come through for me, and so you usually do all the time. And when you didn't, that really caught me off guard, and I just didn't know what to do with that because I was so stressed, and I really should have been more. I really should have been more understanding to you in that moment. So hopefully, these are all best case scenarios, and I'm always hoping for the best in us, just because that is the place I like to take in life. So these are kind of some tips on how to set boundaries. 1, paying attention to yourself, knowing when a boundary needs to be set, knowing that it's okay to take some time. Pause for the cause. Give me some time. Think about that for a moment before I make any decisions. Okay. And then the third one is using language that says no, but it's not no. Right? So it's like, no, I don't think I'm able to do that this time. I looked at my calendar. I just don't see any space where that's possible. I have a lot going on right now. I'm so sorry. All of those are no's without saying no. Okay? So hopefully this video has been helpful for you. And we'll continue on with our boundary series. We have one more, and then after that you'll have to stay tuned. Okay, so that means you need to what? Subscribe to my channel. Okay. Boop. And of course, if you have any questions, comments below, especially if you have any questions or comments below regarding boundaries and how to set them appropriately, and how you maybe have had some wins doing that, setting boundaries, please comment below. Thank you so much for watching. Alicia Jackson, LPC. Take care.